Hi there, everybody. Fonnie Ravenwood here, your Christian mindset coach, here to help you realize truth. Got a quick word today to share with you, and this word is based on Jeremiah 17, verse 9 and 10. Verse 9 says, "The heart is deceitful." By the way, this is New King James Version. "The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?" Verse 10, "I, the Lord, search the heart. I test the mind, even to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruit of his doings." Wow, this verse really hit me hard, and he actually highlighted Adam and Eve as a way to kind of understand what is going on here. See, Adam and Eve in the garden, when sin first came into us, if you really look at the scenario of everything that's happening, Eve was deceived, but Adam made a choice. And when we look at this, when we say that the heart is deceitful and desperately wicked, who can know it, right? So we go after our heart's desires, and it leads us down wrong paths. The one thing that changed Eve's mind was her desire for what the serpent was offering her, saying that she would become like God, saying that she would have all of this knowledge. So she desired this. It says that the fruit became appealing to her. She saw that it was good to eat, so it became a desire, and she gave into that desire. Now, what was wrong here in this scenario? When did the serpent come to deceive her? He came when she was there without her covering. She was alone. She did not have her covering. And so this is a lesson for women who are single to know that it's so much easier for you to be deceived when you're single and you don't have that covering. And that's why it is almost even more important that you have a daily habit of being in the Word, being in prayer, that God is your covering, because He's always going to be your covering. It's just that when you have someone in your life, He becomes that physical covering in the natural, where God is your covering outside of that. Eve didn't have Him as her covering. She only relied on Adam, and Adam wasn't there, and the enemy was able to come in and deceive her. Now she goes to her husband, and her husband also giving in to his heart that was also desperately wicked, right? Even before sin, because his heart in that time, he wanted to appease his wife. He wanted to make her happy. All he wanted to do was, okay, you said this was okay to eat from. Let's go ahead and eat from this. And ouch, that almost just made me feel wow, man, wives have got to be very, very careful in what they offer their husbands, of what they think might be a good fruit of the Spirit. This is starting to feel like prophetic flow now, but as she, and this is why it's so important that in your singleness, women, that you are seeking God, that you know God first and foremost, that you know you're hearing God's voice, that He is your covering, so that, because it's not just the men that are the covering, the women also are a different kind of covering for their husbands in this type of a way, where Eve could have, this was one thing that just always confused me. I'm like, she now just got opened up to good and evil, and then she took it to her husband. If she knew that it was bad, why would she say, "Here, do this with me"? That part I never understood. Her heart became deceitful. She was like, well, if I'm doing this, I want you to join in with me. So it's we got to be very, very careful, women, when you have someone in your life. What are you offering them? What are you giving them? What are you presenting to them? And men, you've got to be careful that you know that you're with a woman that is covered by God, a woman that is truly seeking God, because if she isn't seeking God, then her covering is the enemy's kingdom, and she's out here and she's going to be like Delilah and cut your hair off and steal all of your strength. So Now we look at what the Lord does to us in this situation. He looks at our heart, he tests our mind, he sees where we're at with it, and then he gives according to us. And that's what he did to Adam and Eve. He looked at their hearts, he looked at their minds, and then he dished out some punishments. And he said, and now this is what's going to happen. And in the beginning, a punishment for Eve, if you really look at it, the punishment was for her desire to be only for her husband. And oh my gosh, I feel like God is helping me to understand that right now in this moment as I see two doves flying away. So I'm sitting outside. Goes back to, Peter, not Peter, but Paul in Romans chapter 7, 15 through 20, when he's realizing and struggling and separating himself from his sin flesh, where the law is good to a certain, like the 10 Commandments, they're good, but once you're a believer, you're no longer bound by that law. Well, why? Because if you're walking in the Spirit, then you're not obeying, then you're not fulfilling the lust of the flesh. People who are fulfilling the lust of the flesh still need the laws. It's like having parents growing up and they're teaching you how to, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little chilly. I gotta put my sweater on here. They're giving, parents give you a set of rules and laws and say, if you want to live in this house, don't grieve my presence. These are my boundaries. These are my rules. This is what you got to do while you're living here. And they give you rules for life. And hopefully when the kid goes off, that they are learning, that they learn something and that they know how to be a fully functional adult. And that's kind of the equivalent of when we're living by the law. We're learning how to live by the law. And then it's like when you get graduated and baptized from the Holy Spirit, now you're walking and living in the Holy Spirit. You're not bound by the law. You know the law. You know that these are the boundaries. But now you obey and you do it because you're doing it from a different heart posture. You're not doing it because you have to. You know it. It's a part of you. It's real. And so in this moment with Adam and Eve, when Eve was then dished out this quote-unquote punishment of that her only desire would be for her husband, she needed a period of time of living under that law. When Christ died and his blood was shed, that punishment was over. We're not supposed to be living under that same law. It should be the woman's choice. She should know now. The woman is supposed to now know. Oh my gosh, he's telling me this. It's like she's supposed to know now. He's helping me understand all of this while I'm explaining it. It's so beautiful. I'm learning in this moment with you guys, and I just love it when this happens. But he's showing how Eve needs, before Eve finds her Adam, she needs, and this is metaphorically speaking of women and men looking for their spouses, kingdom spouses, what have you now, she needs to have her covering as God before she finds him. And he needs to know that the one that he's choosing is truly crowned by the right king, that she has that right covering, because he can't be worried about what is she doing in my absence. He can't be worried about what is she bringing to me? Is she going to be bringing me good fruits? He needs to be able to fulfill his mission and do what he's doing, and know that you are a counterpart that is going to help him do that, not someone that he's going to have to chase after, and make sure that you're not being deceived by the enemy because he's not there as you're covering and you're crowning, like Eve when she was gone. Wow. Mic drop. Whoa, right? Oh my goodness. Jiminy Cricket, I need to let that settle. Guys, let me know what you think. Have a great day. Oh my goodness. In Jesus' mighty name.